Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls. I'm Hayes. That's Pat the Designer. On today's episode, we'll be talking about another Bulls loss, this time at the hands of the Boston Celtics. We'll also be talking about the post-game interviews from both Billy Donovan and Patrick Williams, and then we'll end it previewing what's left to come from the Chicago Bulls as they head and stumble their way into the playoffs. We'll get into all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen. Locked On Bulls, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now that all that is out the way, we got to get into another Bulls loss. Listen, Pat, I don't know about you, but I am tired of this team and the lack of effort. This was a disgusting loss, right? Tough losses, all right, those are okay. Competitive losses, those are good. Losses like this literally make you look at the team and want to smack every single player when they're Obama was in the building, bro. Obama was in the building. We dropped a game like this with Obama in the building. Go ahead, Pat.
Hey, you definitely got dropped off in front of Obeezy, dog. That's a bad look, dog. I'm saying this right now. It is a bad look when Obama is in that mug, absolutely looking at another child's cell phone in the middle of you getting I don't even know a good way to say it, dog. Like getting your butt kicked, but like it was worse than that, right? And here's the crazy thing, right? Like I came into this game, I said at the beginning of the game over on my live call over on the Windy City Breeze that I didn't expect the Bulls to play a lot of minutes. Off of the second of a back-to-back, coming to the end of the season. They were resting Caruso. You had maybe 2 quarters, maybe 2.5 to try and show that, hey, we're going to compete in this game, to prove to Billy Donovan, hey, no, keep us in this game. This is a game we can get. And you didn't even do that. You came out early, and it wasn't that the Bulls – now, in the first quarter, it still wasn't really like that the Bulls didn't knock down shots. Like the last game versus Milwaukee, the Bulls legitimately played good defense, rebounded well, didn't knock down shots. In this game, you were knocking down shots. You just couldn't stop nobody. You couldn't slow anybody down. Them mugs were shooting 50% from the three-point line by the end of the half. Now, the first quarter was a struggle, only 19 points. But, hey, you know why you only had 19 points? Because you kept turning the ball over. By the way, Vooch, little stick him on the hands, baby. Well, I don't know what was going on with that in the first quarter. Like the first 4 passes Vooch got bounced off his hand. Listen, you're making it very tough for me to defend you at the end of the season. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it's getting real tough for me to stand up for you coming to the end of this stretch, dog. But, I mean, this was a game that you really saw. I mean, I think DeMar DeRozan played the most amount of minutes. He played 32 minutes in this game. Everybody else played 25 and under pretty much, minus like Zach LaVine. But just another game where you didn't even give Billy Donovan a reason to keep you in this game. And you didn't give a good enough effort on a consistent basis, which is what we've continued to see from this Chicago Bulls team. You're not giving the effort on the defensive end on a consistent basis. You're not giving, like, the Bulls are playing like they're that dude. They're playing like they're that team, and they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're playing like they're the team that's gonna, hey, we can fight our way back into this even if we get down 14. You can't. You don't have that level of mental fortitude on your team right now. You don't have that level of talent up and down your team right now. And unfortunately, the dudes that are that talented right now are banged up. And so when you get down like that big and then you see the shoulders drop, you see the effort kind of going away, you see them not really playing defense, this is the result that you get. And the Bulls never, unfortunately, like I said on my stream, and tell me how it felt to you, dog. But to me, like last night versus Milwaukee felt like the Bulls could have come back if they finally could start hitting shots.
Yeah.
Tonight we were down 10. It felt like we were down 35. At every point in tonight's game, the Bulls never felt like they even showed up tonight. I really thought I was watching the Boston Celtics versus 2K generic team. What were your thoughts, my boy?
This was a game in watching that it makes you concerned over how far the heart of this team changed, right? Like that determination, that team that we were looking like, hey, next man up. Listen, Zach was out, but such and such stepped up. Look, they still got and I don't expect them to win every game. Talent almost always wins out, and the Bulls don't have the same level of talent that they had early in the season. But looking at this team, they let Boston and Milwaukee come in home, and completely outclass, and it looked like there was no fight in this team. There was no pride in this team. There was no that's worrisome. That's bothersome. And as much as we try to be positive here, and we talked about, me and you, we've had a whole topic on why the season isn't an overall loss just because of everything, and it's not. But the effort like this on your home court, you have to look at a team and question why. What happened? Why is it that now that this team that was such the scrappy team, like at the first 20 games of the season, even when the Bulls lost, they were in almost every single game.
They were competing.
Yeah. The first time we ever got truly blown out was against the Warriors. Almost everything from that before then, and then almost everything after that for a while, the Bulls were in every single game down the stretch. That's gone. You don't even have the ability anymore to look at this team and say, hey, they can get it together. They can get a scrappy couple of games together, maybe in the playoff, to make it interesting. This team just is a carcass left of the heart that we saw before. And I understand injuries, COVID, Lonzo being out, Zach playing hobbled, Alex Caruso's hobbled now, even after coming back from an injury. Like, I understand all those things are valid reasons that would affect this team over the course of the season. But that effort is just not there. Like, the focus isn't. Like, this seems like a team that's gotten down on themselves, and now whereas before they believed, hey, we can beat any team in this league, it seems like they don't believe that anymore, and it's showing in the way that they're playing out there, and that's what sucks about this team.
And the part that sucks here, and I was trying to count through them, but like you mentioned, since that Warriors game, this Bulls team has been blown out like 20 times. In all of these games versus these top teams, maybe 20 is too high. Because we've got, 19 losses now versus top teams in the NBA?
Yeah.
You've been blown out probably 16 of those. You've never been in the game. And there's a difference in we don't have the talent versus we don't have the heart. I can deal with no talent. I watched the Baby Bulls. I can deal with no talent. I watched the Derrick Rose-less Bulls win a series versus Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I can deal with no talent. I've watched many a Bulls team with no talent. You know what they had? They had heart. The whole point of heart, hustle, and muscle. And I'm not saying that this team has no heart, but how you've played versus these top teams shows me that there's something mentally missing, because you're not upset that you keep getting your butt kicked. In the last 3 games, you haven't scored more than 110, and every one of your opponents have scored more than 110. 2 of them scoring over 120.
That's terrible.
And you know what it would be? It would be fine, right? If these were the only games. Listen, again, if we just weren't talented enough. Hey, we don't have the talent to beat Milwaukee, Miami, Boston. They're top teams in the NBA. Okay. In that same stretch, you lost to the Knicks. In that same stretch, you lost 126-109 to the Pelicans. In that same stretch, you lost 112-103 to the Sacramento Kings in a game where you were down 20 at the half. That's the problem. They're not pissed that they're losing these games, because if you were upset, I've seen terrible Bulls teams that didn't have the talent be upset and come back in those games after that and be like, hey, listen, we finna do something. Like we not great. We're not the best team in the NBA right now, but I'll tell you this right now. we're going to beat y'all tonight. They don't have that attitude right now, and that's a problem.
And one thing that I've said, the thing
Even
that
my chair is
categorizes
sick
this,
of it.
the thing that I've categorized this is that we were able to literally say towards the beginning of the season, probably the first 30 games of the season, we can compete with anyone.
Yep.
And it's changed to we can lose to anyone on any given night.
Yes.
Just being honest. But we'll continue to get into next up. We'll talk about some of the post-game interviews after this game and how some other people and coaches are tired of this too. But first, we got to talk to you guys about BetOnline. Pat, I don't know about you, man. I'm not dropping no bets on the Bulls anytime soon. But if you do want to drop any bets.
Don't bet with your heart.
I may place some money on the Hornets, but with that being said, BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. For all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championships, odds, podcasts, and reviews for all the different leagues this season, BetOnline is your continued source for all your sport wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. And let's get to the end, not where this game started, but where this game finished and ended after the game, post-game press conferences. Before we started recording, we listened to Billy Donovan's press conference. And I will say this, right? When you first told me about it, my response was, oh, whatever. You know, Billy's been doing a lot of lip service lately. But hearing this one, hearing the tone in his voice, Billy's tired, man. Billy is tired of these players. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, you hear it. He's tired of the excuses. He's tired of he essentially came out and said, "Hey, you can't keep coming back to me and saying my bad, coach. That's on me." He talked about how the Milwaukee Bucks have beat you. He talked about how Miami has beat you. He talked about how Boston tonight beat you. And he even brought up the fact that Boston tonight didn't beat you the way that everybody else did. Boston beat you one-on-one tonight. If you pay attention to tonight's game, Boston absolutely was just like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Y'all go ahead, hit them one-on-one, see what they do. And you couldn't slow down anybody. P. Will in foul trouble immediately. You couldn't slow down anything that they wanted to do. And Billy Donovan essentially called them out. Billy Donovan basically just said, listen, if y'all not going to play, if you're not going to be ready, I've said this, right? I said this on my show today. And I think that Billy is kind of echoing that. I don't want to be a head-in-the-sand Bulls fan. I don't like going into a playoff series and saying we're better than we really are because we're beating these teams. The second half of this season, you've absolutely played ridiculously tough competition. You played Milwaukee, Philly, Cleveland, Phoenix, Toronto, Milwaukee again, Clippers, Miami, Boston. This is a stretch that tells you a lot. What did it tell you? This team ain't mentally ready yet. This team doesn't seem like it has deep enough talent yet to compete with those top teams. This team doesn't seem prepared for the moment that's happening to them. Y'all realize we came out of the break 39-24. We now sit 45-35.
That is crazy, bro.
We've won 6 games. We have won 6 games. And Billy Donovan, and listen, I get it. I know there's a lot of people that say, fire Billy. He's not a good coach. He's not this. He's not that. Listen, your players got to execute. Y'all want this rah-rah coach. I can tell a bunch of people didn't play sports growing up. You had to. Y'all want this rah-rah coach. Go out there. I'm sick of it. I'm going to throw a chair.
Give him one for the Gipper.
Yeah, listen. You got that, coach? You ain't got that level of talent.
Yeah.
And if your players aren't self-motivated, that tells you a lot about this. And Billy Donovan is not going to be that guy that's going to sit there and be the rah-rah guy. He's going to draw up your X's and O's. He's going to set you up. He's going to put you out there. He's going to get you open shots. We've seen them get open shots, consistent open shots. They ain't knocking them down.
This is a fact.
I mean, what were your thoughts on what they said? I mean, even right, you heard kind of what we talked about with P. Will. What are your thoughts on kind of P. Will just even calling out? I mean, your second-year guy. but a guy that's defensive minded, calling out the Bulls' lack of effort on defense, starting off these games.
One thing that I've said all the season, even when we were good, is that Zach LaVine is one of the players that will go out there and put the team on his back scoring wise. He's not a leader, though. He's not developed leadership skills. Zach is not a vocal leader, somebody who's going to check other players. He's the type of person when the team's down, we're heading to the third quarter, he's going to make his presence felt in taking shots, going to the bucket, trying to get this team up by scoring. But he's not going to be the type of player who's going to check people on downtimes. He's not that. DeMar DeRozan, while a very good mentor for younger players, is not a vocal leader either as far as being on the court during games. He's great to have somebody to go to for advice. He's great to have somebody go, but he's not that type of vocal leader. Tristan Thompson tried to come in and be that, but again, a guy who literally came here after the All-Star break is only going to get through to so many people. This team needs a vocal leader, and if it's Patrick Williams that ends up developing into that, more power to the guy. And I think sometimes people forget, too, that your best player, at least on the court, doesn't always have to be your vocal leader. Look at the Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah things. Derrick Rose was very much like I talked about, like with Zach. He was better at it than that, but he was very much like Zach LaVine. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go out there and put.
He really ain't say much. He just be like, all right, I'm gonna go get a bucket then. Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's what I mean. He's gonna go out and get a bucket. Now he showed more emotion at times.
Better talent than Derrick.
He was a better talent. Not a better vocal. But Joakim Noah was absolutely the vocal leader on this team.
Yeah.
When you look at even before, it was never Zach. Bobby Portis was developing to the vocal leader on this team, and they traded him away. We have not had a vocal leader really on this team since then.
We really picked. Hey, that tells you all you need to know about Garpax. We picked Nico Mirotic over Bobby Portis. That's why.
Well, no, we traded Nico first, and then we still traded Bobby.
Did we? I thought we got rid of Bobby first because Bobby busted his eye.
We traded Nico first because remember Nico wanted to be gone. We traded Nico at that deadline for a first-round pick, and then we turned around and traded Bobby Portis. I think it was the next season we traded Bobby Portis.
Probably, yeah. You might be right on that. Yeah.
That's
right. That's right. Actually, Bobby might have been there for a little while after. Man,
exactly.
This is bad years of basketball.
We really have not had a vocal heart leader of this team for a long time now. Patrick Williams is still very quiet. He's still very timid, at least on the court. Like, if he's the type of player that isn't as you can't even say that. Patrick Williams is showing some aggression. Now, he didn't in this game. Let's be clear. He was also in foul trouble almost. What did he have? 3 fouls in the first quarter?
3 fouls in the first quarter, 4 by 2 minutes into the second quarter.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But Pat may develop into that. If not, we'll see what they do with who else they bring into this team. But this team does need somebody who's going to hold these players accountable and say, hey, look, bro, what are you doing out there? In love, right? In being constructive, but they need somebody who's going to be that vocal leader. Zach is not a vocal leader. And while he may develop into one, 27 years old, he's been in the league for 9 years. It's highly unlikely that he all of a sudden develops into this rah-rah vocal leader all of a sudden. Now, it can, but it's not very likely that that's going to happen. So we need somebody to be there. If it's going to be Patrick Williams, your second-year player, I'm not against that because, hey, if that's something he can build on going into the offseason and he ends up being that, so be it. But we need somebody to do it. And I'm glad that Billy also spoke up in the way that he did because those type of things are needed for a team that is just down on themselves right now. Like, you can see it in their body language. This team is not at all that scrappy team that we started off the season with. Their heart has been taken out and stomped on. And it's understandable when you have 7 wins since the All-Star break and over 20 losses in that same point in time, that's taxing on almost anybody. So they need to figure it out, though.
No, yeah, 100%. It's a matter of how, right? Like how. I don't know if P. Will becomes that vocal leader. I think P. Will is a lot like Kawhi. He just don't know what to say. That might just be being honest sometimes.
That's true.
But I mean, you think about like I'm really looking through. Like somebody's got to. I'm glad Billy's saying something, and it still might be a talent issue. But if you're really looking at this, dog, like our last win versus a good team was on January 12th. Nope, was on. God,
you're not giving us the Clippers?
You know what? They up 30 right now. Okay, I give you that. Yeah. Before that, when I was saying more so like one of those teams that was that we think could win a championship or of
Got
that
you.
level, top 3 type team that everybody keep arguing. But I mean it, and I'm giving it credit. It December 4th, Brooklyn.
That's
111,
crazy.
104, 107.
That's wild, fam.
I mean, other than that, you look at a lot of these games, bro. I mean, there's a lot of L's on here. There's a lot of W's, but you see the teams that the W's come against. And in the playoffs, it's a whole different slate. But here's the thing. The Bulls don't have anything to fall back on in the playoffs, right? Like, if Boston plays bad, Boston has, hey, we've been here before. We're okay. If Milwaukee plays bad, hey, we champions. What
We're
are we
the
doing?
defending champions.
Hey,
Yeah.
if Miami plays bad, Jimmy Butler, hey, dog, this ain't no new territory for us. Even Tyler Hero's been to the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? If we play bad, we ain't been here before. Right now, what we got to fall back on is what we see. And I just told y'all, since the All-Star break, you came out of the All-Star break 39-23. You now are 45-35.
That's crazy.
With 2 games left to go in this season.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. We got our last topic of the day. The Bulls have 2 games left, brother. I'm asking you, is there anything, would you rather see the Bulls try to have some defining wins that they come in, play great, or at this point, would you rather see the Bulls give players like Zach, DeMar, some rest? I'll give you my mindset right now, right? I have this saying in my family, I don't know if you caught my live stream, is that broke people should never laugh because what you laughing at, you broke. Broke teams don't deserve rest.
Hard life, jeez. Can't laugh because I ain't got no money, darling. Maybe I'm laughing at my pain. The whole Kevin Hart tour, geez, like you ain't never laughed because you were so broke you couldn't pay the light bill, bro. Like that ain't dog. Hey, they finna cut these mugs off, boy. They're tough out here. It's tough. Hey, get the cameras.
Oh man, fair enough, fair enough. But do you think are you more of a rest, or would you rather see this team have some possibly some big victories? What do you think?
I think you need to. I asked this on my show today too, right? Is what's more important, rest or rhythm? You need a rhythm. You have no rhythm. Your last 3 games, you've gotten clapped, like disrespectfully clapped, like
yeah.
They looked you in your eye and did it. Like 127-109, 127-106, 117-94. I don't even know how the Bulls got the 94 points tonight. I really don't. Like, you had 2 quarters where you scored 19 points and 16 points. You have no rhythm. Even in that Clippers game, you really didn't have a rhythm. You had a heck of a 4th quarter. The Washington game, you had a little bit of a rhythm in there, but Washington. The Knicks game, there was no rhythm. For some reason, we can just beat Cleveland, no matter who they got. Pelicans game, you never had a rhythm. Bucks game before that, you never had a. So there's no rhythm here. I don't know if you're going to get one versus Charlotte and Minnesota in your next 2, but you need to go into this game with a little bit of rhythm on your side and with a little bit of practice under your belt. Now they should have about a week off, I believe. In between the last game and the playoffs. At this point, Zach LaVine is going to be what he's going to be. If a week's rest isn't going to heal him, what's 2 weeks rest going to do for him? His knee, I told y'all, as soon as this season ends, whenever it does end, whether that's in an NBA championship or it ends in the first round, you're probably going to hear Zach LaVine will be having surgery. He'll be out for 6 to 10 weeks. So he's going to be what he's going to be. Alex Caruso is going to be banged up. Lonzo Ball ain't walking through that door. He's not coming back. So, like, at this point, play him. Like, even going into the Minnesota game, play him. Even if Minnesota's playing nobody, play him. Because they need to, at a minimum, right, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu need to be coming in with a rhythm in their role. And they don't have that rhythm in their role right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kobe White, yeah, he shot 3 for 6. He took 6 shots, though. Like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm going to just keep shooting. Well, you didn't keep shooting tonight when we needed you to shoot.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'm more on get this team in rhythm. See if you can sneak one. Listen, you're right now slated to go up against the Milwaukee Bucks. That could change 3-4 times before the season ends. But right now, you're slated to go up against the Milwaukee Bucks. That's an NBA champion. The only way you're going to have a shot at beating that team is if your team is in rhythm and locked in and ready to go and focused. And even then, you still might not have a shot. So it's gonna be tough to see, man. It's gonna be a tough first round, but let's keep it going. I guess I don't know, dog. Hey, man, we keep getting our heads kicked in, bro. I think that stat caught both of us off guard with how bad the Bulls
It absolutely did, bro. It absolutely did. This team, man, like you said, I don't. The one thing that, let me ask you this before we head out today. What are the chances that the Bulls get on the stage of the playoffs and something clicks and we do see them, maybe not. At this point, I'm not willing to bet on them winning a series. But what if they do? The Madhouse on Madison during the playoffs, that is an electric stadium. What's the chances that we see them get off a win, maybe two, to end this season with something to build off of? Do you give the Bulls a chance for any of that, or do you kind of think, like a lot of people, that it's going to be a clean sweep for the Bulls in that first round?
There's definitely a chance, because there's one thing the Bulls don't do. In this second half of the season, the Bulls are shooting like 25% from the three-point line since the All-Star game. Something stupid low.
Yeah.
You knock down threes, you back in these games. Boston knocked down 17 three-pointers tonight. They knocked down 7.
Yeah.
Milwaukee was knocking down threes. Giannis looked you in your eye and jaded you in your face.
Giannis.
By the way, if he add that, he been doing that. If he add that to his game, he the best player in the NBA.
Oh, if Giannis gets a reliable 3-pointer, it's over for the NBA.
Yeah, it's his league. But even Miami, Jimmy Butler cashing it in your face.
Yeah.
Like the Bulls have no fight on the shooting end of it. Yeah. The Bulls have no fight on the we can knock down the wide open 3-point shot end of it. Your bench, if all of a sudden your bench can score, Alex Caruso, with the rest that he's getting now, is able to come back and he's able to get the wrist, feeling a little better. Maybe he's able to shoot. Kobe White's able to shoot. It's a completely different Bulls team.
Yeah.
If you get up to 40%, 45% from the 3-point line, this is a completely different Bulls team. I give them a chance, but the chance that I give them is based on players playing that I don't believe in having that kind of first run into the series. I don't believe that all of a sudden Patrick Williams is going to become, hey, it's time for me to take 15 shots a game. Not to say that he's not going to – I think he's going to have a really nice playoffs. I think he's going to be a really nice player in this playoffs, defensively and offensively, but he's going to take 9 shots. Kobe White's got to score. I don't believe in him as a scorer consistently. Ayo Dosunmu's got to score. I don't believe in Ayo Dosunmu as a scorer consistently. It's his first year. He's got a lot on his plate. I just don't believe that he's going to come out and be this shooting guard, or not shooting guard, but scoring point guard that we think that he's going to be. In this first playoff series. You know what I'm saying? Like the pieces on your bench. We were like, Derrick Jones took 4 3-pointers off from the top of the key tonight. That is the worst shot for Derrick Jones in his career. Like as a whole. Like this ain't nothing new. Ask Ringo about his time in Miami. He got the corner 3 and he got the other corner 3. Stop passing him the ball any other time. You know what I'm saying? So the guys that we're relying on to be this offensive piece to knock down shots to move forward, I don't believe in them that much. And I think that's going to be the Bulls' biggest problem headed into here. Personnel and once the Bulls get down, they haven't shown you that versus these teams. You're going to be playing Miami, Milwaukee, or Philly. Or Boston, Milwaukee, or Philly. They haven't shown you that versus these teams they're going to be able to, hey, we got the mental fortitude to get back into this thing.
These are facts. With all that remains to be seen, we'll see exactly what happens with this team as we head closer and closer to the playoffs. These are tough times, my brother, but we're going to figure it the hell out. We're going to figure it out. Pat, if there's nothing left, man, go and give him your social media. Let's get ready to get out of here.
Hey, man, follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. That's PATTHEDSIGNER. Yes, I did go to public school, but they taught me how to spell. And follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls.
And you can follow me at CEO Hayes, the CEO Haize. Thank you for making us your first listen today. Now make your next listen Locked On NBA, where you hear from the Locked On specialists on their respective teams. Our very own Pat, the designer, will be on this episode of Locked On NBA. So make sure you go and check it out. They got all the news coverage on everything around the NBA in 30 minutes or less. But that is our time for today. We will see you lovely and beautiful people tomorrow. And hopefully, we can end this on a better note tomorrow. We'll see you guys then. Peace out.
JV with a dub. Somebody got to get one.
The Bulls aren't getting one. We might get one, so yeah.